The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, Monday Night Raw Review.
Hello and welcome to the Wrestling to the Max Raw Review. My name is Brandon Biskobing. I will be your host for tonight, and joining me, as per usual lately, the co-hostess with the mostest, Liz Pugliese. How's it going, Liz?
Pretty good. How about you, Brandon?
Not too shabby. So Raw starts off tonight with Elias in the ring and ready to sing us a song and actually showing off his guitar skills. Pretty impressive.
Very nice.
He does a song about Houston, about how their team sucks, and you know the usual heel shtick type stuff. Elias being Elias, walk with Elias, all of this. Seth Rollins comes out because he starts talking about Seth, and he walks around ringside, not going into the ring yet. Elias is waving his guitar around, and Seth decides, I'm going to even the odds. I'm going to go grab a chair out from under the ring, and he then goes into the ring. We get them square off, and Elias tries to hit him with the guitar, but Seth swats it away with the chair. He's got Elias cornered, and then, of course, Jinder Mahal attacks from behind. Reigns comes out and makes the save, attacks Jinder, Elias, and Sunil Singh, and Kurt Angle's music hits. This is the moment in time where it should be Teddy Long's music instead, because we all know what's coming. Holla holla. Tag team match, playa.
Yeah. Was there anything that happens in this segment that you didn't expect?
The only thing that, it's not so much that I didn't expect it, but I hope it's not just one of those, like, one-offs where, like, oh yeah, we're gonna tease this, but not use it at all. Like, with how Elias used the guitar to start off this whole feud, and with Seth proceeding to go under the ring and grabbing a chair for the standoff this week, this has to be a no DQ match, right?
I think so. I think it's the only way to, for me, it's the only way to go.
Yeah. Well, for most logical people it would be, but, we all know, especially in PG era WWE, that, logic is thrown out the window. And, oftentimes when it seems obvious that a match should have a certain stipulation, they choose not to. So, I'm not holding my breath on this one. I'm just saying it should be a no DQ match or some sort of, guitars and chairs under the ring type of match,
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, otherwise, it's kind of, I don't want to say pointless. I think, they do a disservice to the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, because, like, if you're gonna use that as part of the angle with this whole feud, then, you gotta use it in the match, you would think.
Exactly.
So,
That's how...
What?
No, I was gonna say that's how I would see it.
Yes. But as I said on the group chat when Harry said that there's no way, which we'll talk about this stuff later, but there's no way that they would, like, book 2 injuries on one show. I'm like, you're giving creative way too much way too much credit here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have at some point.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. My memory for these details isn't as great as all you guys, but I'm pretty sure that they have.
So the opening contest, scheduled for one fall,
Wonderful.
is a tag match play between Elias and Jinder and the semi-shield Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Solid match, nothing over the top great about the match, but a solid match, but, it ended in a very predictable way with, Sunil interfering and, distracting and distractions. So distractions upon distractions upon distractions, resulting in a heel team win here with a drift away from Elias on Seth Rollins after Roman is in essence taken out of the equation by a lariat over the barricade.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent match. I have to say, I think it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Not knocking any of them. I just thought it was going to be one of those, okay, let's, brawl to some, mayhem type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, pretty solid. Nothing completely out of the ordinary.
Yeah. It was a solid match, but nothing crazy. We get some hype for the Nia Jax versus Natalya match and all the other matches. Then we come back. We get a table full of tacos at ringside with Kurt Hawkins in the ring. He says earlier today he made a bold prediction that he's sitting at 199 losses. I saw something either today or yesterday saying differently that he had already reached 200, but we all know how WWE, their numbers are different than others. So they count certain things and don't count others. Whatever.
Creative license.
Yes, precisely. And tonight he will get rid of that streak. He will not get up to 200. And when he wins, everyone in the arena will get free tacos. I'm assuming this is a reference to the whole NBA thing that Taco Bell has been doing, where if the road team wins, they're gonna give out free Doritos Locos Tacos. He interviews his opponent, who coincidentally is named James Harden. Again, another cheap little, nudge at the crowd there. And they just, he says he's from Houston, and we get this match. So the following joke match, scheduled for one fall.
Sadly, one fall.
which we technically do not get a fall in this. But as we expect, Hawkins has the advantage. It looks like he's finally going to get a win. And, of course, all spoil sport, the Scrooge of Monday Night Raw, Baron Corbin, comes in and hits End of Days on James Harden, which means that he wins by disqualifications. So, congratulations, Kurt Hawkins. Even though we thought you already were at 200, now you are officially at 200 losses. You are 0-200 since you have come back to WWE. Are you proud of yourself?
Congratulations.
Hawkins wants to fight Corbin, but he smashes his face into the tacos and dumps the table on top of him, and not really much to talk about with this match. Do you have anything to say about this, or should we just move on?
I just have to say one thing. What is their obsession with food? I mean,
WWE
tacos. I don't.
someone
It's
in
insane.
someone in creative is either really really fat or is either A, really fat, B, a stoner, or 3, is just a foodie. Or a combination of all of the above.
I guess because I'm like, because at first I have to be honest. At first I didn't hear the whole taco thing, and
I didn't
my
see the
mother,
opening of that whole thing either, actually.
my mother who I watch Raw with, she was like making a joke like, oh, could you imagine if they were really gonna give everybody tacos? I'm like, how much would that cost? She's like, whatever, and yeah, it was so stupid, but that's about all we should say about it. 'Cause I don't.
I mean, it's not really like you didn't expect this considering who it was.
No, I know, but it was just, yeah. I didn't mind, the Corbin coming out to, interrupt him. I liked it. I had hoped that that would be going somewhere, but as we're going to get to, I think my dreams were shattered.
Yeah,
there.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking that this was gonna be like, hey, maybe we get like a very quick Corbin versus Hawkins feud, but no, I think it's just Corbin exerting his dominance because, well, we'll get to that in a second because that's actually next. We see some Natalya and Ronda Rousey stuff going on in the back before we go to break with Rousey teaching her, some proper boxing techniques, and that sends us to break. Coming back, we get Kurt Angle in his office, and Baron Corbin rolls in, and he's like, "Do you see what just happened there?" And he says he's annoyed at his lack of opportunity, so he went over his head to WWE headquarters and spoke directly to Stephanie. And apparently Stephanie is once again helping her supposed, basically just helping out the heels. That's all I gotta say about that. And we get we get Stephanie appointing Baron Corbin as the new constable of Monday Night Raw, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with British lingo and British terminology, a constable is the equivalent to, like, in the U.S., like a sheriff, pretty much. And it will be her, and he will also be her representative to assist Kurt in his duties. So basically, him, holding Kurt's leash. So let me just before I get let me get your opinion on this segment first, and then I'll ask you the big elephant in the room question that I have.
Okay, so I don't. Obviously, they're still playing up this whole, stuff with, Kurt and Stephanie and, eventually Hunter, I'm supposing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I don't like it, but because I'm over the McMahon's, Helmsley crap. Not on air, let me say. Not, behind the scenes necessarily. Let me stress that, because I know a lot of people, people, but Hunter, I think, has done a great, as we've said many times.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, I thought it was. I don't mind so much that he has a constable. I actually got a kick out of them using that word.
Yeah, so did I.
Probably because I've been in the middle of reading this British mystery.
I hope he actually gets into character as the fact that they're using the term constable and actually give him one of the the rounded British police hat and have him wear it. I want to see that. That's what I was
thinking. I'd love to see him in some type of costume for it.
Yeah, it would be hilarious.
I actually like, Corbin. I know some people are very down on him, but I don't. So I think he can actually be pretty entertaining in it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it just seems so random.
Well,
they chose Corbin to do it. I mean, even random for them.
Well, not only that, but it kind of seems counterintuitive because Corbin, especially with his character and him supposedly being, the lone wolf and everything, it doesn't seem, he doesn't seem like the yes man type of guy.
Yeah,
He's had metal music his entire, career. He's supposed to be that lone wolf that goes against everyone. Like, it pretty much is like the best scenario or the best explanation or the best comparison that I can use is Kane. How Kane suddenly went from like the big red monster or big red machine, and like him, no one can control Kane, and then suddenly he's a corporate man. It just like they should have picked someone like Kevin Owens. It would have been funny to see him, or like Sami Zayn, or someone like where there's like a built-in story there.
Yep.
Would have made more sense. Or like I'm trying to think if there aren't really many other guys on the Raw roster that I could really think that would fit this role, but Corbin definitely does not.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, you played him up, like you're saying, to be this lone wolf. Not even so much the metal, music for me, maybe because I used to listen to a lot of it or whatever. But
the whole point that I was trying to make with that was that like metal is supposed to be anti-authority, anti-establishment, all of that.
No, I know that's what you were getting at, and I get that, but yeah, it's just even for them, like I was saying, it's too random. It'd be interesting to see if they can pull it off. I hope Corbin does, because he's been like, I guess, floundering, for lack of a better term.
Oh no, like I've been a big Corbin fan ever since he was in NXT. So like I'm hoping that this new role of his does give him some sort of push, because like you said, he has been floundering ever since he lost the Money in the Bank contract.
Yeah.
But do you have anything more to say about this?
No, just I'll hold out final judgment, but I'm very iffy about it.
Yeah. Oh, same here. But if they can do it properly, and maybe do some funny things with it, I doubt they will. But it would still be great to see him wear one of the British police hats. I would pop so hard for that.
Absolutely.
But as long as they do something with it and they actually use it, then I'm okay with it. Now, the big elephant in the room question now is, they've been pushing this pretty hard for the past, month? Month and a half? How much longer before we get either a match, a one-on-one match between Kurt and Triple H, with Kurt's job on the line, or a straight-up, you're fired from Stephanie?
End of SummerSlam.
So you think SummerSlam? I was being both optimistic and also kind of pessimistic at the same time, because that when they drag things out, it gets really bad really quickly. But I have a feeling that they're going to try to drag this out until at least maybe Survivor Series. And also, think about it this way. Survivor Series with the, actually, I just thought of something. Survivor Series with the, with the brand split kind of being, diluted with them having the co-branded shows and everything. Do you really think they're still going to keep that theme for SummerSlam? Or are we kind of just... Because if they don't, I could totally see them doing a Team Stephanie / Team Triple H versus Team Kurt match for control of Raw.
Gee, that's an excellent point, Brandon. I don't know.
So,
I don't know. I'm going to have to pop out and say sometime between SummerSlam and Survivor Series.
Well, I was thinking Survivor Series at the earliest. I think they could. I have a feeling they're gonna try to stretch this out until like Royal Rumble or maybe even next year's Mania. Yes, be prepared for this. I'm calling it right now. It will not. I do not think it will be SummerSlam. I will be very happy if I'm wrong, but I'm just preparing you.
I actually would hate to see them get rid of Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
The
only thing that I'd be unsure of is, who would they then get? Because there aren't really many, retired guys that are still willing to, have an active role in the company.
Yeah, that would be my thing, and that's one of the reasons why I would hate to see them, pull the plug on it. I think he's somebody that could have, very long.
Yeah. You there? Sorry, everyone. Lots of technical difficulties, so this is going on a day late. So this should be interesting. But yeah, just finishing off that conversation we were having about Kurt. Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, my thoughts just were I'd rather see him around long term than them continue the, I guess, ongoing or recurrent or whatever you want to call it storyline of them constantly changing, although there really haven't been that many, constantly changing the GM due to Stephanie and Hunter. I mean, I think most people are, over it, and people love Kurt, so.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, like, I get what they're trying to do on Raw,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, like, instead of just continuously having this thing where, like, Stephanie thinks she can control a face GM, and then it turns out she can't, and then she fires him as a result. Maybe go a different route, at least for a little bit. Obviously, this is not a long-term solution, because we all know how well these work. Right. But if you're gonna keep Stephanie and Triple H, primarily Stephanie, as the commissioner of Raw, then maybe have a full heel commissioner GM team for a little bit. Right. And then you can do something with it. But, at this point, like, there shouldn't just be this full rotation every half year,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so moving on from that, we have our next match scheduled for One Fall.
One Fall
is the match between Natalya and Nia Jax, which we referenced earlier about injuries and how they went with a lot of injury angles in this show. Natalya, it appears that she hurts, I think it was her ankle or her knee, off of it's weird. She tries to bounce off of the ropes, and that's how she gets injured. It just didn't work for me personally. But and then Nia capitalizes and hits the Samoan drop in 1, 2, 3. But the main storyline for this match, I mean, do you have anything to say about the match itself?
Not really. I mean, it was what we thought it would be, and Ronda was particularly horrible on. I mean, okay, she wasn't horrible, but very droll.
Well, I mean, wasn't
really anything.
I mean, I don't want.
That's who she is. I know. But.
Yeah, I don't want to say it as a bad thing per se, but it's what you expect from Ronda now at this point.
Yeah, no, I know, but and most of the women, to be honest, are kind of the same. So I can't really single her out for being so monotone. Maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But no real comments on the match. I have to be honest. I don't even think I really paid that much attention to it.
Well, then the main story in this is after the match, Ronda comes down to help Natalya. Nia seemingly tries to help Natalya, but Ronda kind of pushes her away and is like, no, let me take care of this. And they have a little back and forth there. We'll talk about that more later, but I don't know. Do you think we should talk about this whole thing with Nia now, or should we wait until the backstage segment?
No, let's just get it over with now.
Okay.
Let's not have to
Well,
revisit.
let me go into the backstage segment then. She's back in the trainer's room, saying is apologizing for hurting her knee. Asks if she's going to be good to compete in Money in the Bank, and Ronda pretty much tells her to leave. They keep on going back and forth, and then Natalya finally says, accidents happen, she needs a minute to herself, and then leaves. Is this a sign that, maybe Nia's whole thing from a couple of weeks ago isn't a full-on heel turn, or what the hell is going on with this whole feud?
I think they realized that it was coming off. Well, I mean, I'd like to think, I should say, they realized that it was not playing out very well in the sense that, especially when you look at social media, somebody like Nia, she's constantly with everybody. She's constantly praising everybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't play her role on social media. She's constantly with, and I'm not complaining about that, you know. So, she's constantly with Paige. She's constantly showing the Riot Squad, and things like that. And even people she's supposed to like, just like there's not so much Bliss on there anymore for, she's actually been like really good about that. I think there was like one maybe what you might call a slip up, but even then it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
If you honestly believe they're no longer best friends, then you're a moron. So I think they realized that it wasn't working. Nia was coming off like super stupid, and obviously I know they probably want people to be like, oh, Ronda, but Nia was just coming off like she couldn't carry it off in a sense, It seemed like really weird that she was like so, intense, with Ronda, like apparently, no reason. And so you can't have, and her and Natty, and I guess especially like with Total Divas, there's a lot of stuff on social media with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and people do have friends like that, like there's the good one and the bad one,
Mm-hmm.
one in the middle. So I think they're just trying to make it a little bit more realistic.
I'll agree with that. The other thing about it too that I think is, and I think this is another reason why they're kind of doing a bit of an about face, is that a lot of people, myself included, were saying this is stupid to suddenly have her turn heel again, mere months after having this big face turn, and basically it was telegraphing that in essence we just did this for the the good PR for WrestleMania and the WrestleMania moment and the whole be a star stuff, and it just felt so fake and so formulaic that they were like, we can't do this quickly or else the fans are going to completely turn against us.
I completely see your point.
So yeah, that's that. After that, we get a backstage segment or backstage interview with Bobby Roode. He says he's ecstatic heading into Money in the Bank. He thrives in the spotlight, and so of course he's excited to climb the ladder and make history. And when that happens, it's going to be glorious. He talks about how he's been in the business for 20 years, but he's never seen a man like Braun Strowman. And he'll take every trick under his robe to beat him. It says that, honestly, tonight my goal is just to survive and make it to Money in the Bank. So that leads us into our next match scheduled for one fall.
Wonderful.
As Bobby Roode faces off against the monster among men, Braun Strowman. This was, it wasn't the greatest technical match or anything, but it was a fun match. Best spot obviously was the ladder spot.
Yeah, that was pretty insane.
That was cool. You know what I want to see, especially because they've already done it, and I know it's a little trickier for and it would be a much harder spot for them to pull off on multiple levels. But I would love to see him, when someone is up on the ladder reaching for the briefcase, for him to just smash the I don't know what exactly they're called, the hinges that, are attached to the middle, and just break them and then have the ladder collapse underneath the person or something.
That would be fabulous.
Yes, it would. This was a decent match, but nothing spectacular. Like we said, the best spot was Braun breaking the ladder in two. But it was also kind of funny seeing Bobby try to supposedly outsmart Braun, thinking that he was just a big dumb animal, pretty much, and trying to make him run into the ladder, and Braun being like, "Do you really think I'm that stupid?"
Yeah, no, those I think that whole little part there was very entertaining. And it's nice because, I said so many times that when he was on SmackDown that Bobby was so bland, and now that he's been on Raw, I think you get to see a little bit more of, Bobby and his personality.
But Braun wins this match with the running power slam, and we pretty much got all of the big moments out on that match. Following that, we've got a backstage segment with KO watching the match and then an interview. He thinks Braun is big, Bobby has a robe, and the sky is blue. Who cares? Which was a good line. That was funny. He doesn't care about anyone that stands between him and Money in the Bank. And Finn Balor is a perfect example as to why the fans are clueless. What does too sweet even mean? That was kind of funny, too. Was it too sweet when he failed last week? It was kind of funny. I think it was Dasha who was doing the interview. I forget.
I think so.
I forget who was doing the interview, but after he said that, she was like, "Well, you cost him that match," and he's like, "That doesn't matter." He just quickly changes the subject.
And, once again, he's just on point. He never fails.
And then he calls Balor nothing more than a made up Irish myth, which I thought was pretty funny, especially considering I think they explained this when he first came up, but both Finn and the combination of his name are actually two opposing Gaelic mythological creatures. Finn and Balor. So it's basically like yin and yang, like light and darkness.
Yeah, no, I was kind of wondering if they, if we're finally going to get some, something, some demon, again, but that's probably just me.
I would love to see the demon come out. The thing about the demon right now, well, two things about it, which I not so much that I understand why, but I see why they're kind of going away from it a little bit. For one is the fact that they're pushing this whole Balor Club thing and the inclusion type thing and all of that. We saw it in this match as well with him coming out during the whole Special Olympics thing. So they're trying to do that, and for two, at least on the main roster, I mean, obviously this can change in a heartbeat because, it's at the whim of Vince McMahon and everything. But so far on the main roster, the Demon is undefeated. So, and it seems like Vince wants to keep the Demon very strong. So it's like, I don't think, especially in a match like this, where it is a multi-man match, I don't think they would want to telegraph the end like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it was any, telegraphing or anything, but, it just made me, think of it. I don't think that they would do it anytime soon. I don't see really where it would really fit in, but, a little hint of it, maybe.
You know what would be a kind of interesting story, and I know I'm kind of taking this from another demon, but I would love to see Balor basically become like what Kane was a couple of years ago.
What do you mean?
Where he has like split personality pretty much. And, like, you'll see regular Balor at one moment. Like, I know it's a lot harder with him because of he has to do the face paint and everything. But, like, where, you'll see regular Balor one week and then Demon Balor another week. But, like, he doesn't know that he's changing and stuff. Like, you could do some funny things with it, I feel.
I don't remember that storyline.
You don't remember when Kane was Corporate Kane, but like he would then randomly come out as Demon Kane, and like he didn't remember it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you could do something with that. I mean, it's like I said, it would be a lot harder with Balor because obviously it's not just a matter of putting on a mask. But you could definitely do something. I definitely do want to see the Demon at some point because, the Demon was what got me into NXT. So, after that, we get, we talked about the whole Nia and Ronda and Natalya thing. We get the Leaders of World coming in for an in-ring interview. Bray says, many men lust for power. It's in their nature. It drives them. It consumes them and ultimately destroys them. But any team that has the audacity to face off against them should understand that they're not facing men. They're facing woken warriors, fireflies, and gods. This time, I can actually, his promos don't completely fall flat with the whole woken stuff. And then they'll truly understand what it means to be woken. Matt Hardy says that their magic, their essences have transcended space and time and are now Raw Tag Team Champions. I wish that Matt, during them trying to go, I know that it was such a quick, random thing that they did, but I wish, Matt would have used his old phrasing for the tag for the titles, their procurement of gold is complete or something like that, and then they say unmatched, unparalleled, and unstoppable. They've woken the entire WWE universe, and this was kind of funny with him asking Renee if she considers herself woken, and she says yes, and then he's like, wonderful.
I liked how she was there's almost this hesitation, sure. I'm going to say yes,
Yeah, I'll say yeah, sure.
I am not saying no.
Hey. What woken Dean Ambrose?
No, it was funny. I'm like, she's gonna say no, and they're gonna get pissed, and that's a good way for Dean to come back. I'm like, oh,
that would be great. Yeah,
I know, right? And that they'll be then they're gonna start harassing her, whatever, trying to convert her, and then that's how Dean comes back. But Dean does fit in with them. But I'm like, I don't really want them to do him defending her again because they did that, with Miz. But I'm like, okay, let me get Dean back. And all 5 seconds, that's what runs through my head.
But it's kind of funny, like, I mean, this one doesn't count, but I saw someone saying, like, especially now with Jessamine Duke part of NXT, it's like you could do a whole, like, mixed match challenge now with married couples.
God, yeah. Please, no.
Please, no.
Unless, I mean, not with Renee, because she doesn't wrestle, and I hate when they take somebody because they're married or involved with somebody, and they don't, I mean, at least Lana, okay, fine, she's, hard, but at least she's actually, training and wanting to and whatnot. I don't want them to take somebody and give them, like, a crash course and be like, okay, you're going to wrestle.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, no. Well, we did kind of get that back in, what was it, 2012?
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Cole.
Oh. Yeah. Poor Michael.
So never underestimate the WWE, like I told Harry yesterday.
They've done it, they've done it before too, especially with, women. I mean, they did it with that person whose name I won't say.
Oh, yes, you're right. You are correct there. And then he says it's time for the Battle Royal to commence and calls on Senor Benjamin when Bray interrupts. But Bray interrupts. He says no matter who wins, they'll suffer and be deleted. I'm hoping the fact that he mentioned Senor Benjamin means that we are, especially considering who won this, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in depth on this upcoming match. But I'm hoping that we get another sort of compound thing here, especially considering who won the Battle Royal.
So I know a lot of people are annoyed that about who won, know, but it doesn't bother me. Initially, I was like,
let's save it real quick because we're going to get to that. So the following contest scheduled for 6 eliminations.
6 eliminations.
Is the I wish Harry were here. He would have popped hard for that.
He doesn't even listen to us.
I know. Oops, sorry. I know. Dick. Sees the tag team #1 contendership battle royal featuring Breezango, Beauty and the Man Beast, Ziggler and McIntyre, The Ascension, B Team, Revival, and Titus Worldwide. Considering how all of these teams have been booked recently, what would your obvious choice for the winner of this match to be?
I kind of hoped that they were going to try to, not that Bray and Matt aren't, serious, but let's face it, there is a comedic, element to them.
Oh, absolutely.
So I kind of hoped, all right, maybe we're going to get something with Ziggler and McIntyre, because, I mean, it's Ziggler and McIntyre, what's not to love? And, but at the same time, I knew they weren't,
I mean...
was I a little shocked? Yes. But overall, not really, considering the way things, have been going. I know a lot, like I was saying before, I know a lot of people are like whining and moaning and groaning about it, but people are enjoying their, Bo and Curtis are very talented.
Oh, no.
Let me just say this. Yeah. People have moaned and groaned for such a long time that, at least people I know and people I've seen on Twitter, whatever, mm-hmm. Curtis deserves more. Curtis is a very good wrestler. We have to give him that. Yes. I find the two of them extremely entertaining. I think they've both been, I don't want to say misused, but definitely underrated. Mm-hmm. So I had this conversation with my friend because she's always been, not just recently, but always been a big fan of Henning.
Okay.
Whatever name he uses.
Yeah, Curtis actually.
And Curtis actually, yeah. And
combination of his father and grandfather name.
yeah, I don't know why I blinked on that for a second, And so she's always been a big fan of his. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you can't moan and groan that he's not used and this, that, and you wish you were, and I agree. And we've had this conversation with so many people. And I don't really think he's one of the ones that's just there for the paycheck, especially with his pedigree, But I'm like, he finally, all right, in the Miztourage, he was great. And I kind of like, for me, that kind of like came out of nowhere and I loved it. And now that, they're doing this, she's like, oh, it's a step down from, the Miztourage and blah, blah. I'm like, not really. I was like, you can't moan and groan that he's, they're not being used. And then they are, and then they win this, number one contender match or the right to the match or whatever it was. But you can't complain that they're being used just because you don't like the way they're being used.
Yeah, exactly. I have no problem with the B team. I like them a hell of a lot more than I liked Jinder, but I will use that comparison of it being, granted in that match there wasn't this clear-cut guy or clear-cut team in this scenario where they've actually been pushing that team or that guy, and then you just, you minimalize it by having them lose. And not only lose, in this case, they were the first to get eliminated. The only kind of, I guess, storyline concept that I can think of, the only real storyline concept that I can think of, and hopefully they do bring this into it, and maybe have them go through a gauntlet match with all these guys and beat them all, just to give them their momentum back after the tag title match, and that's the way they get number one contendership next. But the only thing that I can think of is that it's because of how these teams have been used, because of how these teams have been, working lately, and considering just Drew and Dolph's personalities since they've gotten together, it's like they looked at this match as, it's easy pickings, and they halved it, or they only worked, they only tried halfway, and as a result, that's why they got eliminated. That's the only explanation in storyline that I could think of that makes any sort of sense as to why they would lose this match. Because... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but also you have to remember that they're not strictly using them as just a tag team. They've had a lot of singles matches. They're going after kind of, everybody. So while I was surprised that they were the first eliminated, I don't know if it affects them, that much. I think it's,
But
I think they can play off it pretty well.
I guess you could use the same example with Sammy and Kevin, but, these two, at least to me, especially the fact that they're in it, and they have been attacking a lot of tag teams lately, it seems like they're going to be used as a tag team.
Yeah.
So
I think so. I think they'll be back and forth. I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose that much momentum.
Yeah. We'll see where this goes. But, if it were up to me, I would have just left them out of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of would too.
I would have just completely ignored them and just had the other 6 tag teams in this match.
Yeah, you could have left them out easily.
So, like we mentioned, the B team do end up winning this match. And...
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it was funny because I was thinking, Brandon and I were talking about how, originally when they were doing all this, we wanted, them to, go, try to join, the woken people. So I'm interested in seeing Bray and Bo.
Well, that's why I said, like, well, for one, I hope that they first off, I hope that they do kind of, like, not directly reference it, but at least subtly reference at least subtly reference.
They have to. I mean, the fans aren't stupid. Everybody knows they're brothers. You know, I mean, they'd have to. But you know, I mean, because Bray has said it on, you know, has hinted at it on social media. You know,
so I'm hoping that we get another match at the Hardy compound, especially with how these teams are and the comedy aspect for both of them. This is just ripe for doing some sort of final deletion or, you know, another Hardy compound storyline. And then you could have...
I think if it works with anyone, it works with them, you know, pretty much the best.
Oh, definitely. So I'm hoping that that we get that, and then, like, they get reincarnated and become Woken Warriors with Bray and Matt. Let me just say one more thing about this match before we move on. Was I the only one that, as soon as I saw Rhino and the positioning of Rhino, Bo, and Slater in the ring, that I knew Slater was going to accidentally knock Rhino off to lose?
Oh, I know now. I have to be honest. I didn't even notice it.
Oh, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, just watch. He's going to knock him off.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they have to do something with the two of them, you know, eventually.
So, after that, next we've got Bobby Lashley coming in. He says that, you know, if Sammy wants to say something, come out here and say it to my face. Sammy's music hits, he's nowhere to be found, and then his voice comes out on the PA, and he's in the crowd. And he's like, you really want me to get in the ring right now? And Bobby's like, yes. And Sammy says, no chance, because last time we were in the ring, you attacked me. His handshake nearly broke every bone in his hand, and he hasn't even been able to cook the organic tofu steaks in his refrigerator. Very funny, Sammy. He doesn't care because his brain never stopped scouting, and he found out some things about Lashley through Instagram. He loves posting inspirational quotes, and they show a bunch of his Instagram posts. But hey, I did some more digging, and I created a fake account to message you and say thank you, and I got a very standardized form saying to join the Bobby Lashley fan club, and you're not the you're not the great person that you make everyone make everyone seem to be. And then Bobby says, I'd appreciate if you weren't doing whatever you're doing at the cost of my reputation, which, like, I'm assuming, like, the one thing about this whole thing, like, I'm guessing that whole thing is true, because you would think that Bobby, if it wasn't, he'd be, like, jumping on him and saying, no, that's not what it actually does. So, honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is another situation of WWE attempting to make Bobby Lashley look good and failing miserably and making him actually look kind of bad.
Yeah, the whole... and he just comes off as having no personality. I mean, Sammy's attempting to carry the whole thing, and Sammy's entertaining, but doesn't seem like there's really any payoff. It doesn't. It's bland. It's boring.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, but like the whole concept that Sammy is trying to bring out here of like, all this goody Bobby Lashley is all just a ruse. Especially in this segment, Bobby didn't really do anything to contradict it.
No, exactly, or defend it.
Exactly, or defend himself. Like, he was just like, I don't care, just come into the ring so I can beat you.
Yeah, I mean, he can defend it like, blah, blah, blah. Once you sign up, there's no, fee to sign up, blah, blah, blah. There's all this interaction. You get chats with me. You get this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
There could be ways to defend it, but he doesn't. The only time he gets riled up, and even barely, is when he says, "Were you really,
Yeah, were you really in the army?" Yeah, it's like, yeah. This whole thing has just fallen flat. I mean, I'm sure between the two of them, because they're both good technical wrestlers, I'm sure the match is going to be decent. But, this whole storyline has just been cringeworthy, to say the least.
Yeah, I know. From that stupid interview, which we've dogged to death, nonsense with his sisters, there's not. I mean,
nothing has hit.
Nothing has worked.
Yeah,
and I'm not knocking, Bobby. We know he's talented.
Yes.
We know that he can actually pull off a decent promo with a different storyline.
Well, I think this is further proving. With the exception of, honestly, the only exception I can really think of, and even with this guy, he comes off as disingenuous at times when confronted with a very good promo guy like The Miz. But the only true face that they really want to build up as a, white meat baby face who comes off as genuine sometimes, but a lot of times he doesn't, is John Cena. And that's only because they give him more leeway.
Right.
But everyone else, it's so bland, it's so cookie cutter, that it just feels so manufactured. And that's why the heels are getting more of the admiration and more of the cheers by the crowd than the faces are, because, we don't want bland. We want personality. Being a good guy does not mean being bland. That's the problem that everyone says, it's not just the PG era's fault. That does play a big factor, at least to me. Because while, yes, there is ways you can toe that line. We've seen New Day do it. Honestly, they're probably the only face group or face person that I've seen toe that line. But there are ways to toe that line. But instead, especially when it comes to their faces, WWE has them staying a mile away from the line.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some guys that can pull off the, very scripted, things, and some guys that maybe get to the head, maybe they get in their own head, maybe they're overthinking, they just can't. I mean, and plus, I think lately, society in general. I mean, look at the Marvel movies. Who does everybody love the most? Loki. Everybody. In regards to you saying that people, cheer the heels, lately, the last couple of years, everybody gets behind those bit of troubled, devil may care, deep down, good guys, the ones, fighting perhaps misguidedly, for some justice, which when you think about, that's what Sammy and Kevin were really doing.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get behind them because they're behind them not just in wrestling, really, but in so many other things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not only that. I think the Marvel movies are actually a great example. Who are the top who are the top heroes when it comes to the Marvel universe? I'd say Iron Man and Hulk are probably the two most popular right now. And someone like Captain America is more towards the bottom among the Avengers. And that really shows you that, personality and having a bit of an edge is much better, and people appreciate it more than just being very cookie cutter.
Right, exactly. I mean, and which character that was killed off? Spoiler alert, people. If you haven't seen it by now, too bad.
I haven't seen it, but I know that a bunch of
most outraged being killed off, Loki.
Yeah.
People are actually literally and Peter to an extent, but that's more because he was really a kid and he died and whatever. But but everybody loves Loki. So it's kind of along those lines.
Yeah. But so hopefully this will end at Money in the Bank and we can move on, and maybe Bobby Lashley can actually go back to being his badass self from when he was in TNA, and actually maybe, hey, while there's a lot of people who would say, this is just, we know this is part of the reason for why they brought him back and everything, and he'd be jumping the line and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get a Brock versus Bobby match in which they both reference their MMA stuff and we actually get badass versus badass, no wrestling shtick, no overblown characters, no nothing. Just two guys just going at it. And, you could do a bunch of cool promos with both of them. I'm fine with it. I just want to see true Bobby Lashley again.
I think that's what we all want. I think that would be, if that's true, that eventually going to go down that road. I think it would be a big, pretty big success.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. They have to be thinking about the future. I know WWE doesn't think any further than the next night nowadays, but you gotta think in the future, if that is the end goal, is to have a Bobby versus Brock match, this Bobby Lashley would be laughed at by Brock Lesnar. So, what you're doing right now is completely undermining and taking the rug underneath from Bobby Lashley.
Agreed.
So then, after we've spent way too much time on this stupid feud, because I want it to be over already. No disrespect to Sammy, but just end it already, please. We get Jinder Mahal and Sunil Singh interviewed backstage. Jinder says Roman is a jealous, bitter man, and that's why he cost him his opportunity for Money in the Bank. But there's something in the air. The winds are shifting, and soon Roman will find the storm is coming. Elsewhere in the arena, Roman is interviewed about his comments. He says Mahal must have forgotten who he is and what he's done around here. Maybe they should compare resumes. And what has Jinder done lately? Nothing. All he's done is expected to be handed everything. Mahal very abruptly and very random, not randomly, but it was a weird cut that they did right there. Mahal interrupts him and says Roman would never say it to his face. Roman says, "Shut up, where are you? I'll come say it to your face." And he has some crew members where he is, goes towards him, and finds him, and they fight for a little bit, and then they get broken up. They get some refs to break them up, and that's that. What do you think of this?
It was okay. It started off, the back and forth started off pretty solid. It was all right. I can't really rave about it. I can't really complain about it. I think Jinta showed a little fire, and actually sounded a lot better than he has at times. I mean, I don't hate Jinder, and I don't hate Roman, and I'm not going to not bash it just because, I like both of them, because I try to be, fair.
Yeah.
It had its moments. It was a little weird. There was that weird cut. We were like, finally, like, probably like standing right next to each other, which I would have been hysterical.
Yeah,
if they were like right next to each other, I would have popped. I would have died laughing.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right.
So, the following contest scheduled for one fall is a 6-woman tag match between a very odd tag team, Alexa Bliss, Ember Moon, and Sasha Banks, versus the Riot Squad. And, surprise, surprise, Alexa fakes an injury and walks off, leaving Ember and Sasha to have to face a 2-on-3 attack from the Riot Squad. But hey, here comes Bayley to save the day! And she gets the win, well, for now, with the Bayley to Belly. What do you think of this match?
So I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder here and say something and then go right into what happened next.
Okay.
I hated the ending. I just thought it was, I don't want to say stupid because that just sounds so lame. I just didn't like it. I felt it was, I guess, stupid. It made, no sense. Once one of the partners, walked off or whatever, then, that was it. You can't just add a man or a woman,
that before,
to the match. They've done it, and I've hated they probably haven't. But they've stopped and started matches, maybe. Not just like the person who runs in and that's it. So, I don't know, I just, especially with Bayley hating, Sasha, and all this, crap, lately. I was like, whatever. I'm so over Bayley. I never was even, whatever. I'm so over the whole women's division. That's just on some level. I didn't like the ending, and I was like, that's like so ridiculous. And so the next segment, when we get Baron, what was he calling himself?
He
was saying it was so British.
The Constable.
Constable Baron. That's a great.
That is great.
Constable Baron was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. I was like, yes, okay, I like that. Yes, that's exactly what they should tell Kurt. And then I completely missed what happened.
Oh, you missed what happened after that? Well, after that, after the break, Ember, Bayley, and Sasha are backstage and celebrating. And Ember is like, thank you, Bayley, for coming and helping us. And Sasha is forced to agree. Ember tries to get them back together and is like, come on, hug it out and everything. And then right as they're about to, Angle comes in and says the victory is null and void and that the Riot Squad won by DQ because of Bayley's interference. And Sasha kind of rolls her eyes and then walks off. So, like, what seemed like they were kind of reconciling the whole thing, then it fell apart because of them technically not getting the win.
Okay, I can live with that.
But, see, I honestly don't know what they're doing with this whole Sasha versus Bayley thing, because especially with both Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir signing, I have a feeling that the whole horsewomen match is going to happen at some point sooner rather than later. Like, I could see it happening at Survivor Series. So that means that we're probably going to have either the Bayley versus Sasha feud being a very quick one and then them reconciling immediately afterwards, or they're going to have to move away from it for a little while again.
I don't really think they know what the hell they're doing.
No, they don't. I completely agree.
I don't
I
think any of
completely
those
agree with you there, but but we'll see where that goes. Baron Corbin is also shown speaking with John Cone, the referee, saying, what the hell are you doing? You've been working here for how long, and you don't know that, someone can't just impose themselves onto a match. Then we get the Special Olympics thing with Big Show. Then after he does his whole thing, Balor comes out and does his pose with the Special Olympics guys, and that leads us into the main event scheduled for one fall.
Oh,
As we get Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens. Oh, first off, before we get into this match, did you notice that we're getting the prototypical Fatal 4-Way next week?
be quiet, Brandon. Let's not talk about it. We'll have to talk about it next week. Maybe Gary will be back by then and I won't be forced to talk about it.
Doubt it.
I know, right?
Did they all... I think they also announced a men's Fatal 4-Way, didn't they? Yeah, they did. So both the women...
That's why you keep saying that, right?
Both the men and women in the Money in the Bank ladder match will have a Fatal 4-Way next week.
I think I'll be temporarily, incapacitated. And
I told you. I told you this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did.
You never listen.
I do listen.
You just don't want to believe me.
I'll just hold out hope you might eventually be wrong.
Never. Until WWE does not become quite as predictable, that will never happen. Until they stop using the 2K model, I will never be wrong.
It's very true.
So, yes, like I said, the main event is Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens. And this was actually a pretty good match. This match went for a while. And it was a great match. But then, once again, Kevin Owens being Kevin Owens and trying to get that heel heat back, has to get himself disqualified because he keeps on attacking Balor in the corner.
I was really glad that they got, time that they deserved.
Mm-hmm.
These are two guys who that you can get a really entertaining, really solid, really good match out of, and we got it. I can't really say anything about the match. I enjoyed it. I don't know why, but I was kind of I guess I was kind of not surprised that he lost that way, because I don't see them giving us a clear winner between the two of them right now, or at least last night, because you had a clear winner with the other two Money in the Bank people or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess I was a little surprised that he got himself disqualified like that. You always think that somebody else is going to run in. I guess they got issues to that. But it was definitely the match of the night. I mean, nothing else even came close to it.
Oh, yeah.
But, yes, very, very solid. Kevin was Kevin, and we can't really complain about Kevin being Kevin.
Nope, not at all. After the match, after the bell rings, Owens hits a frog splash on Balor. He gets a ladder out from under the ring, sets it up, and he climbs the ladder. And he's about to dive, but then does what he did during Hell in a Cell, and he hesitates, and apparently KO's a bit afraid of heights. Maybe, I hope they play that into this match, in the match, like him climbing up and thinking about, like, going for a frog splash or something on someone off of the top of the ladder, and then chooses not to, and,
Right.
loses as a result. He goes down, he climbs part way down, and then Finn comes in, puts him into the ladder and hits a shotgun dropkick on into the ladder. Then Balor hits a coup de grace off the top of the ladder and grabs the briefcase. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I've always been of the notion that grabbing titles or briefcases is bad luck.
I can understand your sentiment on that. It always seems to be.
So yeah, Balor, you messed up. But yeah, so what do you think of the end?
I enjoyed it. I think gave both of them their moments, which I think was fair. Right now you don't really want to see one standing up over the other.
Yeah. Do you hope that? Do you agree with me that you hope that they actually use this whole like fear of heights or fear of like whatever with KO against him in the match?
I never really noticed him like having the fear of heights.
You don't remember in the Hell in a Cell like he was considering jumping off into Shane on the table, a la Mick Foley, and or a la what?
I barely remember yesterday. So no. I mean, now that you're saying it, yes, I do. But randomly, no.
Yes.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess because too, I follow his wife so much on social media, and they're always on all these crazy Disney rides.
Oh, okay.
Like it didn't, so we're not like crazy ones, but you see them on all like these rides on like Fred Heights. Like it wasn't clicking right away.
But yeah, so
but the ending was good. Yeah, no, it was solid. Right up until the end.
Oh yes. So that just about does it for Raw. What's your rating, 1 to 10?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll stick at a 7 as well. Some decent moments, but nothing over the top. One word review?
One word review. I had one last night. I don't know what it was. One word review. I'm gonna go basic and say decent. It was pretty, decent. I'm gonna give 2, decent and 3 because I'm gonna steal Harry's thing and be like, whatever. Because Harry gets away with it, I can get away with it. I'm gonna say fairly entertaining because what we were saying in the first part of this from last night about Baron that it was so odd. I did start to enjoy it, and it had its moments where it was. Pretty entertaining, and the last match was great. So,
yeah, it was a solid show. Nothing, crazy. I'll use solid, but it wasn't anything over the top. But yeah,
it wasn't anything special.
What?
Wasn't anything special.
No. So that'll just about wrap us up for Monday Night Raw. Liz, myself, and Harry will be back, at this point, later on today. Later on this evening / tomorrow morning. For SmackDown Live and 205 Live. And then we've got NXT on Thursday, so be sure to tune in for all of that. For Liz Pugliese, I'm Brandon Biskobing saying so long, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.